Okay, so good evening once again. So tonight we'll be learning on what it means to have an architecture that houses the vision that God has given to you, the work that God has sent you to serve, the solution you were born and created to solve, everything that is deposited in you that you need to bring out and give to the world. How to create a system that helps you to live your best life. Yes. And so there'll be no other speaking to us rather than our guest speaker for tonight. So before I welcome her, I'll just read out her bio. I shared it with us on the group. And so I'll just I'll read it for us. So Coach Ife Freeman is a self-mastery and a performance coach. She's a self-mastery and a performance coach. She's a podcaster, an author, health and safety professional, and is a mom to two adorable kids. As a self-mastery and peak performance coach, she helps young professionals and mothers by helping them re-engineer their mindsets for success, co-create systems, structures, and processes that allows them balance career, family, business, and everything in between. As a podcaster, she has two podcast series, The Abigail Code, which is for women in challenging seasons in their marriages, and Read Along With Me, an audio devotional for kids. She has written two books, a productivity journal, and a devotional for kids. Ife believes that all things can be achieved with the right structures in place. So without wasting too much time, I would allow please make welcome our guest speaker for tonight, Ife Freeman. Please show some love in the comment section. See how good she's looking at 3 a.m. Can only be God though.
Good evening. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that introduction, Amarachi. Yes, nice to meet you all. Thank you, Michael. Really nice to meet you all. I guess I'm just going to dive straight in. Let me share my slides. Just give me presenter view, present. Audience window should be here. Okay, perfect. Okay, this works well now. Sorry, I apologize for the delay. Enter full screen. And now I will share. Number 2. Okay, please confirm that you can see my screen. Is it up yet? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm just going to, thank you. Thanks for letting me know. So I'm just going to, should I say, push through, power ahead. So tonight, yes, we'll be talking about, good evening once again, we'll be talking about the intentional life design, right? And you might just be wondering, now start off. Yes. Hi, Kristen. Yes, glad to have you here. Thank you. Thanks to the Zoe Discovery Up for the opportunity. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Ruth. Good evening. You're calling me Mama Ife. Feels like you know me from a different life, but that's fine. Good evening. Yeah, so I'll just dive right in with, should I call it an icebreaker? I like stories because I feel like stories help us, should I say, crystallize learning most of the time. So I'm not sure why the picture isn't showing. Okay. So the others are showing, however, for some reason, Tara isn't showing. Wow. So basically the gist behind Tara is she's pretty much free every day. She's a full-time housewife. She spends most of her time daily, cleaning the house, making lunches and dinners. You know, our joy is just to cook for our family, or should I say ensure our family is okay. She's got just one child, right? And obviously, you know, she's married. She's got just one child who goes to school. But when she comes back, it's Tayo's uttermost joy to just read bedtime stories to her. She loves reading to her child. She loves helping her child do homework and things like that. So she's just the natural person. You know, I don't know if you've met those kind of people that tell you that their purpose is just to, I'm not using the word just because there are people like that. Their purpose is to make their family feel okay. They've been called to be family people, right? However, so she spends her time, you know, cooking, laundry, thank you, Michael, yes, and all that. And at the end of each day, she actually has no idea where time went. Like when she sits down at the end, she's like, okay, so what did I do today? It just seems like I did house chores all through. I couldn't even watch TV. I couldn't even read my Bible. I couldn't do this, you understand? Basically, she has no idea how she has spent her time daily. But however, she's grateful that she can read to her daughter. Her daughter's name is Bonnie. And she does that daily with so much joy. So that's Tara, right? So let's move on to the next person. At least the picture did not mess me up this time. So Dayo is a second example. Dayo, I love him so much because he's every man's dream. He's every woman's dream, not just a woman or man, you understand? I'm not looking at him as the tall, obviously he's dark. He's not just the tall, dark and handsome kind of person, but he works in a multinational company. I mean, Chevron, you can see that. He rides an European car. Everyone sees him as well put together. On Sunday, he's one of the people that gives, you know, he gives every Sunday. He's in church on Sundays, but not every Sunday. There are times he has to go to work on Sundays, right? And then so everyone sees his life and they feel like, you know what, I want to have Dayo's life. Basically that. However, Dayo has this internal struggle. He feels worn out. He earns a lot of money. However, he never seems to have the time to even catch up with his friends, his family. He's always busy because there are times that they would need him at work on Saturdays, and there are times that he works till like 10 p.m., does not get home till 12, and he has to get back to work. He has to be up again by 4 a.m., irrespective of the time he gets home. So he really does not have time for anyone else. So that's Dayo. I want you guys to remember Dayo. I want you to remember Tara. Now we are moving to our third character. Our third character is called Toke. I know you might be wondering that Toke is meant to be guy, a lady, right? But I've come to learn that Nigerian Yoruba names are unisex. You know, so Toke is unemployed. Toke finished from the university, you understand, and did not get a job. He kept applying. He applied to KPMG. He applied to, you know, Accenture. He applied everywhere. You understand? It wasn't like his results were that bad. You understand? He finished with a 2-1. However, the Nigerian story, right? He just didn't get a job. And he didn't let it deter him, but he knew he was good at cooking. Imagine a man that knows how to cook. You understand? He was good at cooking. So he started cooking and putting up pictures on Instagram. And despite the fact that, you know, the natural, lots of people were like, how can a man be, you know, doing this? How can a man be doing that? Okay, you get. So started cooking, putting up pictures, and before you knew it, you had people that started asking him to cook for, you know, functions. They will have weddings, and he was the chef, basically. Or well, the chef, because he's not like all those on the roadside caterers and things like that. So he was the chef, and he used to make lots of lovely dishes. But right now, Toke now has a restaurant of his own. He has employees. He's most called, you understand, most of the weekends is restaurant and his cooking, or should I say his catering is always booked out for weddings, events, and parties. But he has people that work for him, basically that. And he can spend, so most weekends he actually spends time going to, you know, play golf. He has time to relax and he goes to church. So now we'll move on to the combination. So who is living? And funny, Tara's picture just did not want to turn up for you guys. So who is living who is living intentionally? Who is living life by design amongst 1, 2, 3? Amongst, look, that's Dio, the multinational guy, everyone's dream guy. You understand? He works in Chevron. This is Tara, who refused to turn up all through the presentation. Thank you, she said, Toke. You didn't even let me reach Toke, right? And then that's Toke. So yes, how many people feel it's Toke? How many people feel it's Dio? Because Tayo is the guy now. Then you also have those people who feel like, yeah, I think I should be like Tara. And that's how, life could be sometimes. You could have people who look well put together and they are swamped. As in, if you ask them outside, they have that picture of being together. But when you now get to meet them and, get inside their life, you realize that there are people who are struggling with overwhelm. There are people who don't live a balanced life. They have a lopsided life. Let me use that word. They have a lopsided life. So today, really, I'm here to tell you how to live intentionally by design, but at the same time, I want you not to live a lopsided life. And when I say lopsided life, like you now know your purpose, right? You've gone through several sessions. You've been, what do you call it? You've gone through the healing series, emotional series. You've gone through finding your purpose. Now you want to know how to incorporate, you understand, break down that purpose. I heard when Amarachi was saying that into different buckets, or should I say different time slots in your daily life. But you know what? There are times that purpose consumes. You understand? Like we could also give an example of someone whose name is Okwe. Sorry, I seem to be using Yoruba names. Let me think of an English name. Let me use Zoe. Let's say Zoe now, for instance, she knows that her purpose in life is to be, should I say, is to feed 1,000, to feed people, children who do not have food, children who are, what's that word? Disadvantaged, you understand? And basically she spends her whole day reviewing, researching, calling, talking, to the extent that she cannot eat, you understand? And when she needs to eat, she drinks a bottle of Coke. And Coke is basically a daily meal because, she is consumed by this, thing that is really greater than her. And all she's doing is that thing. I want us to live a balanced life. It's good to chase purpose. But at the same time, we need to be able to, as you are chasing that purpose and you're drinking Coke every day, that body that you are supposed to use for a while, you understand, in actually carrying out and accomplishing purpose, right? It will start telling on the body. And at a point, you might realize that you're trying to push yourself and you can't just push yourself that much because you are so tired. Maybe you already have diabetes, God forbid, you understand? But there are lots of things that just come to our bodies as a result of the wrong type of eating. I know as Christians, you're like, God forbid, that will not happen to me. I reject it, you understand? However, God has given us this food that we should eat right. You understand? And, there are just lots of things that have to do with the intentional life design. And yes, I'd like us to move. So what does it mean to live life by design? You understand? And I'm going to go with an example. Let's just run through this example in the scriptures. I have 2 examples and I'll run through them quickly. And it's about a man called Daniel. So Daniel is Daniel is an excellent man. So he's someone who is not really in. So basically, let's assume, I know he's an Israelite, but let's assume he's a Nigerian and he's no longer in Nigeria. He's probably maybe in Egypt and he's working there. So he's working in a different culture. Or maybe let's even say he's Nigerian. He's a Yoruba guy, but he's working up north in Sokoto. So he has to. So this is not just it's not just, you moving somewhere else. You have to battle with the office politics and kind of things. And Daniel was an excellent person. From time past, he had actually served several governments. He has served several leaders. And at this point, when he became like second in command, like he's so good. natural office politics stuff. And if you've really worked at work in a place, you realize that lots of times some people who have this scarcity mentality feel that in order for them to rise and for them to shine, they actually have to pull others down, right? So these guys were trying to pull him down. They're like, they can see that he's loved by the, by the boss. The boss loves him. And they're just looking at him and like, what's in this guy? Come, let's find something in him. And they couldn't find anything to hold against him. The only thing they could find that they knew that they could hold on to was the fact that this guy is a spiritual man. You understand? So you know what? Let's pass a law. Let's deceive the boss so that he can pass a law. And after he passes this law now, we'll get Daniel. So yes, the boss passed the law that no one should pray. But if you looked at that particular verse in the scriptures, it says that Daniel, it wasn't like Daniel just decided that, you know what, I am going to show them. How dare they? I'll show them that I am the beloved of the king. They said, as was his usual behavior, it was his usual task every afternoon to go open up his windows, kneel down and pray. That's someone who is living by design. That's someone who has built a habit, you understand, of consistently doing something, you understand. And the question is, what is it if I do take your life now and your life is like a receipt, you understand, and we print out the receipt of today, Sunday, what exactly did you do? I know Sunday is easy, right? Because it's easy to say you went to church all day. Let's print out the receipt of Saturday. What exactly did you do with your life? Like when you woke up, what time did you wake up? What did you do after? You understand? It's a receipt. What did you actually do? Look at Daniel. Daniel is someone that had built his life to the extent that people already even knew his habits. People already even knew that this is the kind of person, this is who we know this person for, because we know how he spends his time. You understand? And also, let's even give a second example of Jesus. I believe we're all Christians, and forgive me if we are not, of Jesus, who at every point would withdraw from the crowd to go and preach. To go and pray to God. Jesus, if you had looked at his life, if you read the Gospels, you would see that you would see that Jesus, you understand, that Jesus actually was always, there are lots of things you always find him doing. He's healing the sick, he's speaking to people. He knew his purpose. And if you look at his life daily, there was nothing that said, yes, there were times that he slept on the boat, and that also tells you that you need to rest, right? There was a time he was sleeping on the boat when there was a storm, but there was no time that you ever heard that. Instead, Jesus was, caught doing something untoward. It seemed like he just lived a life that was by design, step by step. Every single chapter you read, you see that he is doing something in relation to that which God had sent him to do. So this is where you would like to be. You understand? It is where you would like to be. And I want you to note a few things now. Your life design is bespoke to you. When I say it's bespoke to you, now I'm not going to look at Amarachi and say, oh, I realized that Amarachi works in, she works in Lekki. Sorry, I don't know your office, but I know you work on the island. She works in this place. I also want to work there. So I am working towards working in Amarachi's office because that's what's going to make me shine. You understand? It's bespoke to you, special to you. Anytime I talk to people about time management and how they use their time, I always tell them it's actually specific to you. For instance, the way I would use my time as a mom of 2 children will be different from the way someone who has no kids will use their time. Now, someone who has kids who are way older, who are teenagers, the way they spend their time, the way they are going to design their life, the way they are going to, as in the things they will do daily will definitely be different. That's why I said it's bespoke to you. Don't let that bespoke word, scare you. It just means it is specific to you. It is built for your purpose, for you, for Ife Freeman. My design is Ife Freeman's design. It is not Amarachi's design. It is not Michael's design. You understand? We all have different lives. You get, and we all have different callings, right? So we all actually have to be able to, should I say, design our lives in the direction of those callings. Also, you also have to understand that your life design could change per season. Now, before I had my first child, I remember that then I would sit down, when I was pregnant, after work, I would get back home, I would open up a book. I could read for hours, like lots of hours. The first thing that smacked me across my face after I had my child was there was just no time to read. Like, when she was a baby, it just seemed like I felt, and at that point, if someone had told me, you understand, I just felt like, why is it that it seems like life is all, around this baby? I have to feed the baby. I have to do this. I can't even, and my relaxation then was going to the movies, to go and see a movie in the cinema. That was part of what I loved doing as relaxation. Where will I drop? As in, when I even relocated here, in Nigeria, it's even still easy to say, auntie, mommy, please help me take care of that child for the next 3 hours. I just need to hang out with friends, you understand? Or I just need to do this. I got here and I could not even go to see. And I remember that was the first thing that shocked me. I can't even go and see a movie. I just can't, you understand? And so your life design is actually based on the season you are in. You understand? Right now, can I do it? Yes, I can. But, even before I got to the stage where I could do it, I had to find other ways to charge myself, other ways to recharge, you understand? Because if I had not done that, I wouldn't have been able to move in the direction of purpose. So you need to understand that your life design could change per season. Now that my kids are older, there are lots of things that I can do. You understand? Now that you understand your life, it could even be that, let's not even use kids. Let's say that you are in uni, you are still a student. What you can do at that stage is not the same thing as what someone who has finished from university can do. Because whilst you're in the university, you shall have to focus on your studies, right? You understand? As much as God has called us to do certain things, one other thing that we always have to be is we have to be excellent in that which we do, in all that we lay our hands on. You understand? So there are those things that you just need to understand that it's a season. So what season? And I want you to be asking yourself those questions and maybe writing it down. What season am I in right now? What can you understand? And this is not you trying to look for a get out of jail card. You understand? Not trying to be lazy. You understand? But understanding that this is where I am. How much time can I actually dedicate to, should I say, my purpose, whilst at the same time I'm looking at dedicating, or let me move to the next slide, because I'm actually speaking about the next slide already. So let's do that. So basically, you want to know the important facets of life that you should actually design your life in. Now I've merged them into 5. However, if you go into, this book is actually a very good resource for this, Michael Hyatt's life plan. If you've not read it, I would advise that you do. The life plan is actually a good book because it helps you see those things that are important in your life, you understand, and to actually decide how you want to plan your time, or should I say invest time. I don't want to say plan your time, invest time in those buckets. And I hope I've got you with me. So now, and if I'm looking towards there, it's because I've got 2 screens running. So there are important facets of life. There's your spirituality, you understand. You have to intentional, and in saying all this, there has to be some intentionality. You know how I said, if they print out the receipt of your life, thank you, Amarachi. If they print out the receipt of your life, what are they going to see? So you cannot just wake up in the morning without a plan as to what you want to do. Else, that just means you are living life haphazardly. That means you are just living life like, let anything that wants to come, let it hit me. And trust me, if you do not have a plan for what you are going to do daily, on that particular day, someone will help you plan your time. You've not noticed that there are times that you don't, your plan on a particular day is to do certain things, you understand? However, someone else just comes, maybe someone will just call you and say, you know what, have you heard, so and so is in what's the name of Silverbird Cinema? I believe that cinema still exists, right? Silverbird Cinema is showing this particular movie. Let's go. I am right. I'll come and pick you up. You two, you're like, it's not like I had any plan now. Let's go. You just jump into it. I'm not saying it's wrong, you understand? But I'm saying that if you have a plan, like you wake up daily and you're like, okay, early in the morning between 6, and I don't want to use earlier, so you don't think I'm telling you that you must wake up at 3 a.m. You understand? But for me, if I want to look at it, between 3 and 6 daily, for me, that's the time I spend with God. That is my time. And the reason why it's between 3 and 6 is because I have 2 kids. Once my kids are awake, I can't even study. Yes, it still exists. Thank you, Jane. I cannot study anything. Like I can be praying and my kids will come to me in the room and say, you're praying. I'm like, mommy, are you still praying? I'm like, okay, do I stop? And because of the kind of church I grew up in, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to stop now and I will have to say, yes, I am praying. You understand? So I had to, instead of being that person that will now be irritable towards my kids, I'd rather wake up at 3, read my Bible, read a book. You understand? Some people say when you wake up that early that maybe you should exercise. I've not been able, and I'll be honest, I've not been able to include exercise into my morning routine. You understand? So I have a morning routine, which is something you guys can also look into, like early in the morning. What is that thing? Early in the morning, the first thing they do is they pick up their phone. And that way, when you are picking up your phone early in the morning, you are telling others, and this is me jumping into other things once I'm talking about the buckets, you are telling others that, you know what, it's okay for you to take control and take charge of my life. I'm giving you the opportunity, because when I see your message on WhatsApp or I see your stuff on Instagram, I am, I am letting the world control me. However, when I wake up first thing in the morning, the first thing I do is to talk to God. You understand? Spirituality. You understand? You have to be intentional. And when I say you have to be intentional about it, it has to be something that you plan to do daily. You ask yourself, daily, what time do I want to talk to God? You understand? What time do I want to invest in the study of the word? What time, if you are not a morning person, do I want to do it at night? And then you should be able to ask yourself, initially, I also told myself I was going to be studying the Bible and praying at night. And I realized that my kids would interrupt. And if they don't interrupt, if I wait for them to sleep, I'm trying to read the Bible. Then I suddenly wake up the next morning. So at a point, I was like, this is not working. You understand? So you have to determine daily. You understand? And for some people, maybe the season you are in, maybe it's not a daily thing. You understand? Maybe you can't do it daily. And the best you can do is to, maybe pray, do a short prayer and quickly rush to work. But then you can decide that every Friday, I've realized that I have Fridays free. So every Friday, I'll make sure that I do this. You understand? Now, I have put together love, family, and relationships, but most people actually split them, because if you say, and I say love in that the person you are dating, the person you are married to. When I say family, I'm talking about, your kids, your brothers, your sisters. You understand? What time do you want to spend with them? And relationships, friendships, because you know what, the truth be told, no man is an island. And let me give you this example, because there are times that something from one particular bucket, like the love, family, and relationships, can, what's the word, impact on the other buckets. It's just like how when you're chasing purpose, right? You can actually, and sorry, I forgot to even include purpose beside career, business, purpose, you understand? Because some people, business is the purpose, some people is career, some people it is ministry. So yes, I wanted to actually do that as, it could be, your NGO, your passion basically should be merged along with your career, business, and all that. Or you can list it as something else, you understand? So this is me giving a general, overview, just so that you have a balanced life. So I was talking about one thing from one of those buckets or one of those facets impacting on the other. And I've already given you the example of me trying to pray and my kids coming and interrupting. But let me give you this example. Every evening previously, I had some evenings when I would want to, I would have it on my list that I want to read a book, and I will read on my iPad because, like I said, life is in seasons. I have a book that I bought, hard copy book, and my daughter, my 4-year-old, helped me to tear it in a very nice way. So I've realized that hard copy books don't work for me anymore. We will go the e-book method. So I have lots of ebooks. So I decide that, okay, maybe Mondays, my Mondays are free days, sort of. So I'm going to ensure that I read every Monday by 6 o'clock after I fix dinner, sometimes maybe 7, I'll read. And next thing, my mom will now call. As I'm reading on my iPad, my mom starts calling or my sister starts calling, especially if I've not spoken to them over the weekend. So how do I get ahead of that? Because I don't want them calling, you understand? Although, yes, I can put my phone on do not disturb and things like that. I will make sure that by Sunday or my way back from work or during my lunchtime at work, I give them a call. So that at night, when they are calling, if I choose to, because at that point, I will choose to ignore their call. You understand? It's only if they call like 7 times and I'm like, okay, there must be an emergency. I'll choose to ignore the call because I've spoken to them already. I've gotten ahead of it. So there are times that things from those other facets, you understand, can impact on it, just like how career can impact on it. You can get to work and you work all day from 8 to 4, from 8 to 5, and then you still take work home. Like you're even at home and your mind is still brooding over that task or that activity they've given you at work, like, and you're like, oh, maybe I should do this. And then that's impacting on your time with maybe your love, your family, your relationships, and things like that. So exactly, thank you. Get ahead of it before it becomes a distraction. And that's what I always tell people. If you know you have a friend that naturally will call you at maybe 5 minutes to midnight, and then you know that at that 5 minutes to midnight is your sleep time, you call the person before then and say, oh, I'm just checking on you. Put the person on your schedule, and then make sure that you are the one that has the control. You are the one that has the control. You understand? I actually want to see what you've also written. Intentionally servicing your relationships and other areas so they don't impact on other things. You understand? It's not that time that you are now in church or you are trying to do something that someone from somewhere is calling, or you are working on your purpose and someone from somewhere is interrupting. Because most of the times interruptions do come, but we should be able to, if you can, when you review your week, which, oh gosh, I'm putting a lot of things into it, but at the end of the week, when you sit down, you're asking yourself, what did I do today? Ask yourself what happened, especially after you've developed a plan. And maybe I should say that at the end, but let me just land with it now. After you've developed a plan that this is what you're going to be spending your time in, you should be able to review. I'll not even say review at the end of the week. Sometimes ask yourself at the end of the day before you sleep that, okay, what were my major goals for today? Okay, these were why didn't I do them? As in, how did I get to find out that my mom always calls at that time? Because after reviewing several times, and I realized I was not reading, I was like, what happens? Oh, my mom or my sister calls at that time. I now started, they called because all through the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I didn't call them. Suddenly on Monday, they realized that it's been long, let's call her. You understand? Now, I've spoken about love, family, and relationships, right? Career and business, like I said, I wanted to include whatsoever you're passionate about. Okay, for me, I'm looking at career because basically for me, I feel like my calling is along the career area, productivity, you understand, helping people see how to actually ace it at work and how to actually ace it in their business, you understand? But yours might be something else. It might be feeding 1,000 kids. It might be ensuring that kids are, and I'm talking about kids now. It could be anything. It could be, for instance, Zoe Discovery of you are looking at, helping people discover their purpose. With that, you can also include it within here as a bucket. Like I said, remember that I said it's actually bespoke to you. So if I have created this as the major important things for me, for you, something else might be the major one. All right. I've also added self-care. Sorry, I didn't take that out. Imagine that self-care and health. You understand? How do you recharge? How do you, and when I say self-care, you understand, it's almost like, okay, for me now, it's interesting. One thing that helps me is reading. And that's why I said reading is very important for me. Reading, then obviously sleeping, relaxing. And so for some of you might even be watching Netflix. I know there's that school of thought that, you know what, do not watch Netflix for a long time, do not do this. I used to watch lots of movies. Like there was a time that I remember that the only way I could fall asleep was for me to watch a particular series. I can't even remember the series. Like I would turn it on. I could not, those days I couldn't sleep well at night. But once I opened up my laptop and turned on that series, it was my sleep medication. I would just fall asleep, and I can't remember the name for the love of me now. And so what do you want to, yeah, you are there. What do you want to do to take care of yourself? How do you want to ensure you get enough sleep? How many hours of sleep do you want to have daily? You understand, this is self-care, and it also has to do with your health. How do you recharge yourself? There's this question at Immersina Circle that says, what's your battery? Do you get to know before your battery, your phone, if you look at your phone, before your phone gets to, like 3%, do you get to know for yourself before you get to that stage where you are really, really overwhelmed? Do you get to know, and do you get to charge yourself? How do you charge yourself? Do you charge yourself by, is your charger dependent on others? For instance, previously my charger was dependent on me talking to a friend of mine, and suddenly when that friend is not available, then it's now like, what's going on? How can I charge myself? How can I inspire? How can I get better? You understand? So ensure that you have that thing that is not just dependent on others. You have several things. Discover yourself. Try things. Because some people would always ask me, so how do I know my charger? Try things. You understand? You can try to read. There are times I want to read and I realize that the reading is not working, because at that time I'm really, really overwhelmed. And what I need to do is to just lie down and sleep. So discover yourself. You understand? Sometimes what I need is music. I plug in music. I am singing, I'm dancing, I'm shouting. You understand? Like a crazy person. You understand? But discover yourself. You understand? Try things out. Try things, and then you begin to and journal them. So, oh, you know what? When I listen to music, because for me now, I always give this example. I don't like dirty dishes. So when I see lots of dishes in my sink, that naturally just spikes up my stress levels to 100%. But if I don't want to start, getting worked up, all I need to do, sometimes I plug in music or I'm singing. Like I think today, or well, yesterday for me, you understand, you get stress hormones. I was just singing. There were lots of dishes in the sink. On Saturday, too, lots of dishes. And at one point, I had to start telling my kids, please, it's only this one mommy you have. Please, let's watch it. Make sure you're washing your plates, please. It's just mommy. You understand? And we will still get to that part. I'm really aware of time, so I'll move quickly. Health. Do you want to be the kind of person that, wants to be doing high intensity workouts? I'm not a high intensity workout kind of person, but you know what? There are lots of things. Like when I'm on campus, I work in the university, I take walks. Especially if it's not raining, I take walks. So do you want to be a person that takes walks, or do you want to be skipping? What are you doing in order to, ensure you're a healthy person? What kind of food are you eating? Are you making time out to ensure that you can cook the right food? Or if you can't even cook, is there someone that you know that you can pay and the person will give you a bowl of soup that you can freeze? Sorry, I spoke about freezing, right? I understand that there's no electricity, but so I don't know how people store their foods right now. But like you can get someone that can actually cook in bulk for you. There's a time that I used to cook in bulk. When I was doing my master's, I had a 4-year-old. I only had one child. I was doing my master's. I was working full time. Saturday was my cooking time. I'll cook a massive pot of fried rice. I'll cook a massive pot of jollof rice. Man, the week is sorted. I'll cook meat, and I'll be like, you know what? People of the house, oh, we have light in Nigeria. Hallelujah. So I'm like, people of the house, what we are going to be eating all through this week, there is rice, there is jollof rice, there is variety. Means when I get home, rice or jollof rice. You understand? Rice or jollof rice. I know at one point it was getting tiring, right? But at that season in my life, it was rice or jollof rice because I was working every single day. I had assignments. I had so much to do. You understand? Working every day and then doing a master's full time too. It wasn't like I was doing it part time. So I had to actually look at different ways that I could innovate to ensure that we were eating well. It wasn't like we were drinking Coke every day. Everyone was sorted, basically that. So like, how will you take care of the body God has given you? Do you want to incorporate beans? Me, I was saying rice every day. Here at that point where we were not even finding beans. So, but right now we thank God there are now lots of Nigerian foods and all that. Personal growth, this particular part I love. You don't just choose what you want to utilize in growing just haphazardly. Like someone tells you, have you read that book? Let me add it to my list. You know what? Someone said they read this book on building confidence. You're a naturally confident person, but because the person has read it, fear of missing out, from where you're like, I would also read that book. No, you should be able to look at yourself and say, okay, this is the vision God has given me. This is my purpose. How do I grow to becoming that person that can achieve that purpose? What do I need? What is left? What do I need to include in my toolbox? You understand? Am I meant to be a speaker, a married speaker? What do I need to grow in? Oh, you know what? God has called me in relation to marriage, but I'm looking at my marriage and my marriage is suffering. Okay, God help me. What are those things that I'm supposed to do? Oh, you know what? I want to start reading some marriage books because you know what? I want to improve on my own personal relationship, knowing that God has called me to do this. Prior to me, I would still be talking about it, but I also need to be able to build myself. You understand? Or maybe at work, I realized I'm not such a confident speaker. Do I need to enroll in Toastmasters? You understand? To ensure that I am, speaking properly. You understand? Because I've realized that part of what God has told me that I'm going to be doing, part of my purpose has to do with speaking. Or part of my purpose has to do with writing. You understand? And I want to train myself in that regard. Oh, maybe I should do a course on Udemy. Udemy has got some free courses. I'll do a writing course. Okay, how many hours a week can I actually invest in that? Do you get? So it's actually, yes, I love how you put it, identifying what you need and investing in that direction rather than every direction. Yes, because your efforts are now dispersed. But when you target something, and I'll give you this example, at work, when I first started working here, one of the major issues I had was my confidence. I wasn't confident. I wasn't a confident speaker. Number one, when I start talking and people now look at me like, I can't understand you. I'm not understanding your accent. You understand? I get scared and I keep quiet. So me keeping quiet during meetings, they naturally just felt like this girl does not know Jack. You understand? Then I think 1 year after I applied for a promotion and I didn't get it, I realized that they didn't give me feedback because I asked, what did I do wrong? They just said, oh, you are too nice. But after a while, me too, I sat down because they're really good at giving feedback in that particular workplace. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to build myself so that when I sit down at a meeting, if I need to talk at the meeting, I'll be able to speak without being scared. Like then my heart will be palpitating, like I'll be having when I sit down and I have to talk. You understand? For some reason, I was just not a speaker. So I started reading books. I can't even remember that book, You Are Badass or something. It's not so spiritually inclined, but it had lots of things about building confidence. It was almost 900 pages. I can't even remember, but I sat down with that book. I read it, I consumed it. I went for Toastmasters, you understand, to just get tips on speaking clearly. There are lots of books that I read that particular year in relation to building confidence. By the time I was done, believe it or not, people now started saying, even till today, they're like, you first started out here as an introvert, a very quiet person. Now she cannot keep quiet, because I had to build that gap. I saw the knowledge gap. I saw the competency gap that I had. You understand? And I had to purposely do things in order to scale myself up. All right, so let's move away from here. So that's on personal growth. Now, this is the part that I have been interjecting and putting in about time management, intentionality, how we live our lives. So basically, what's time management? So after thinking about those pillars that I have just drawn out, you understand, you would have your own pillars. You should be asking yourself, what are my pillars? What are those things that I need to do in order to, what are the different areas I need to invest my time in daily in order to live my life by design, in order to ensure that I am living a full life. You understand? I don't want to be that person who is achieving purpose, but in the long run, they are looking at my family and they're like, what on earth is going on here? You understand? Or I don't want to be that person who is strictly a family person. Now, in the long run, I have that burning desire in my heart that I know that I have been called for more. You can have it all. You understand? It's all just based on design. It's just based on how you design your life. And it's not just how you design your life. It's how you design your life daily. It starts from every day. So it's not more of like you wake up beginning of the year, like by the end of this year, I want to achieve this, and that. However, you've not broken those things down into daily bits. You understand? Because there are those people who have big goals and never do it. You understand? Every year, at the end of the year, they feel bad because they just didn't do anything. Beginning of the year, January 1st, they have that resolution or they have that massive goal planning, vision board thing. However, they've not broken it down into tiny steps as to how they are going to achieve it daily. You understand? You have this purpose that is burning at the back of your heart. Aside from maybe you don't even have the time daily. Weekly, what do you want to do? You understand? So time management, like I said, I love this. I said it's all about intentionality. So it's not about living a haphazard life. It's not about not knowing. You should be able to know ahead of time. You understand? Like today now, I already know what I want to do. From right now, I knew I was going to be here. After here, I know what I'm going to do next. I know that I have school runs. I can't even say within my time management, I'm not going to add my school runs. I'm taking children to school. You understand? I've taken the day off from work. So what do I want to do? Because those are the days that are interesting. You understand? Saturdays or, most of the times we have the excuse that we are working from 9 to 5 or from 8 to 5, so you're here. But if you even get back home and you get back home, for instance, maybe 1 hour early, what do you do then? Do you just lie down and like, let's just go on Instagram? I cannot come and kill myself. Look at Maraji, what is she doing? You understand? I'm not saying don't go on Instagram. Is that time planned? You understand? Because for some people, what you need to, maybe your passion, your calling, you understand, there are things you have to put up on Instagram. Maybe you are a thought leader and you have to put certain things up on Instagram or on social media. The time that you should be able to factor in the time you enter that app and the time you leave the app. So it has to be intentionality. If time, I love that question that I asked, if the time spent on certain activities was a receipt or was on a receipt, what would the receipt read? So I asked that question earlier on. What will your receipt of yesterday read? Like, what did you spend your time on? Does it show that you're actually living towards a purpose? Were there things you planned, or were they just haphazard? Were you just living life haphazardly? You understand? And time management helps in a lot of things because it prevents you from living a life of emergencies. You understand? Where every time it seems like you're killing fires, someone has given you an assignment, or let's say Amarachi has told me since that you are going to be one of the speakers, and suddenly I wake up as one and I'm like, I'm supposed to speak. Let's quickly do this. You understand? And I'll give that example because when I used to be in university, it was easy for me to, do I still have time? Okay, I have a few more minutes. So when I used to be in university, it was easy for me to, previously before university, secondary school days, I used to do what you call till daybreak, TBD. That's what I used to study. You understand? I will crash the course. You understand? I will stay up all night, then just go and write the exam, then come back and sleep. Boom. I got to the university and somehow things changed. And, maybe this example even, pans out with seasons, but, managing my time, things changed. There was a day that I wanted to crash the course like that. And there was this guy, I can't remember, my very good friend. I just went to his room to say hi to him. And I'm this kind of person that when people upset me, I can't remember what he did, but I was really upset. I could not read that night. Imagine, then the next day exam came, I failed because I went to someone's room and the person did something. I can't remember. He said something or he acted in a particular way and it really affected me. I was really upset. And then I wasn't emotionally intelligent, you understand? So at that point, I let it just drain me. It drained out everything and I couldn't study. Now imagine if I had been studying for the exam way before then. This thing that just happened would not have impacted me. You understand? So time management, let's get back there. I don't know why I digressed, but yes, it's all about intentionality. It's about not living your life as a firefighter, someone who is always killing fires up and down, you understand? So you've been told about certain things, you've not intentionally planned it. You've been told that you have a presentation on Thursday. You're not planning how you're going to go about that presentation till Wednesday night. You understand? So yes, it's all about intentionality. And yeah, I'm saying pay attention to intentionality, efficiency, and effectiveness. Those are 3 things. You have to be intentional. When I say intentional, daily when you wake up, you're like, okay, for me, the best time I actually work on is beginning of the week by Sunday. My Sundays are good. I sit down and this is me going as practical as possible. I'm like, okay, so this week, what do I want to achieve? Like, okay, I'm reading this book this year. I want to be able to read 2 chapters this week because I realized that this week is actually a very busy week. So I can't even deceive myself and say a chapter a day. So let's just say 2 chapters this week. All right, you know what? I've got to facilitate a prayer meeting here. I've got a team meeting here. However, at the same time, I have an investigation report at work that I need to submit before the end of the week. I don't want to be doing that investigation report on Friday, you understand? Because I've been told to submit it before the end of the week. I need to finalize this at work with my kids, with my daughter. My 4-year-old comes back home every day with a book that I have to read. What time do I want to be reading that book to her daily? I already know that for her, I need a time slot daily. You understand? So me being intentional is me going into my calendar or into my scheduling app, and then putting the time so that I remind myself that at this time, at 7 p.m. every day, I'll be reading to my daughter. At so time, Friday night, we are going to do a movie night with the kids and find out, we choose a movie ahead. Even with that, I realize that if we don't choose the movie ahead of time, you get that day, will now get to be that day. I'm like, what exactly are we watching now? And we'll just spend the whole time. So that's about intentionality. Now let's talk about efficiency. I think efficiency I will be talking about on the next slide. You understand, on the next couple of slides. So yes, we'll leave that. Effectiveness is you being able to achieve that which you've set your heart already to do. Achieve it in an excellent way. You understand? And that's effectiveness. Efficiency is not about speed, though, and we will go there. We will go there. So I love this quote, which says productivity is never an accident. It's always a result of commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. Sorry, forgive me for the yawn. So your productivity is not an accident. You cannot accidentally be productive. You have to intentionally sit down and plan. As boring as it might sound to you, you have to intentionally sit down and plan, and you have to be committed to excellence. So you have to, yes, okay, thank you. No challenge, okay. You have to, be committed to excellence. You have to, intelligently plan and have a focused effort. And we'll go to, how I split things into buckets. That's actually you focusing on several things at the same time, you understand, because you want to live a balanced life. So, and that's why I love that quote, because I just love it, because it tells you it's not an accident. Because some people think they will be accidentally productive. They will be productive by just waking up daily and running life as it comes and hits them. Now, the parental, I love this particular principle, and not to sound too scientific, the question here, and this is all about efficiency, what can you delegate? You know how initially I was telling you about what's my knowledge gap? What do I want to should I say, bridge in my knowledge? At the same time, as I'm asking myself, what's my knowledge gap? I should be able to ask myself that, okay, within this, what is that thing that someone else can do better than me? You understand? Like, I can design slides, right? I can design social media stuff, but I spend a long time on it. Maybe I should get someone, a friend of mine, and I exchange value for value. You understand? And I'm like, you are very good at designs. I've seen your designs. Please, can you help me? And I've also decided that since you're helping me with that, that your daughter, was bring her once a week, or once in 2 weeks, I'll take her out. You understand? Because you need to be able to exchange value. Sometimes it might not necessarily be money, but you should be able to exchange value with the person. But what is it that you can delegate? If only 20% of your efforts will bring about effective results. You understand? So it's not about working harder. It's actually about working smarter. Because some people think that in order for them to be able to achieve all God has told them to do, they need to work hard. However, there are people around you that can actually help you in that purpose that God has sent you to do. I just did a recent book launch, and I'll give the example. I'm naturally that kind of person that will do everything myself. You understand? And I remember that I got someone that designed. It wasn't like I could not design the posters. I got someone that designed the posters. I got someone that, like, these are just people that just kept coming to me. I heard you have a book launch. Please, what can I help you with? Please, can you help me to just create the program? These are the topics I want them to talk about. These are the people that are speaking. Please help me create the program. Someone else came. How can I help? I was like, please, can you be the MC? I've not been an MC. I was like, okay, I will run through it. With that person, we spoke and we ran through the process of her just talking through the Zoom call. You understand? Someone else came. I can't even remember. How can I help? Oh, you know what? We have a gap. Please take prayers. You understand? Oh, how can I help? This was me. You can't live life alone. So imagine if I wanted to do the launch and if I was the person that did the design for the flyers, if I was the person that designed the website, if I was the person that, now, even currently with the book selling, there are different people in Nigeria helping. So you are not an island, but what can you delegate? What can help you work smarter so that you can focus, you can zone in on that major purpose? Because you know what God has called you to do. has several hands. You understand? Has several facets to it. Those several facets, it does not necessarily mean that you are the person meant to do it. For instance, I can strike an association with someone who is an animation expert and say, you know what, I'm a storyteller. I can give you the stories. Can you craft the animation? You understand? How can we work together? You know what? Within it, it's not going to be only Ife that has done it. It's going to be an agreement, Ife and Michael, you understand? And it comes up like that. And the person is like, oh, you know what? Yes, I am good at drawing and creating animations. However, I am not so good at coming up with the stories. So yes, this is actually a very good association. And then you get that done. So the question is, what can you actually delegate? And I'll give you this story. I started delegating doing the dishes to my daughter. I was about to say my younger brother, my daughter here. She's already 11. So at a point I was like, no, do the dishes. I think it even started from a punishment or a consequence for something that she had done. I was like, do the dishes. And when she did it, I was like, wow, this is how easy life is. The next day I was like, please do it. Please do it again. Take it as your task. Mommy does not want to be doing dishes. But there are still days I still get there and I do the dishes. Now, let me talk about when you want to delegate things, because some people get scared of delegating because you feel like the person that you've delegated to cannot achieve it. If you can write it out step by step, you understand how the person can get an excellent result. Sorry, I need to drink water. If you can write it out step by step, how the person can receive an excellent result. For instance, with my daughter, oh, you know what? When you want to wash plates, there are some plates that you need to soak a bit. You understand? Just put some water on it. Don't just wash it and then put it there, and then you still see some tiny things. Put some water whilst you're washing. If you already see that this seems like the food on it is a bit dry, open up water, put it on it, leave it a bit, wash the cups and do all that. By the time you come back to the plate, it should be easy to wash. And by the time we've done that several times, she's doing dishes now and the dishes are clean. You understand? There was one other time that the instruction was, you know what, I just noticed that after you wash that rice and stew plate, there's still oil on the, because it's a plastic plate, there's still oil on the plate too. Please, can you make sure it's hot water you are using? You understand? Because for some people, you have to step it out when you're delegating to them. Give them the steps, step by step, step by step. This is how you achieve an excellent result. And with this too, you have to do it with caregivers, you understand? Because they need to know step by step that this is how you do certain things. I don't have a caregiver here, but I've heard lots of stories about them in Nigeria. Let me round up this slide. If 80% of the results you get is achieved by using 20% of effort, you should be asking yourself, I actually want to use 20% of my effort. I don't want to have to overextend myself. So ask yourself, what are those things that you can delegate within everything that you are doing? Basically, what are those things? How can you ensure you are working effectively and you are working smart, but not necessarily harder? So I'm bringing this to a close. Quick scheduling tips. Have milestones. You understand? Have milestones. So it's almost like I said, I was telling you that every week I'm like, I want to read 2 chapters of this book. That's a milestone for me. And at the end of the week, I asked myself, did I read 2 chapters? Yes, I did. I celebrate my win. That's the next. I'm like, wow, Ife, you did so well. Okay, what am I going to do? I've had 4 weeks now of, hitting my milestones. So you know what I'm going to do? Today I'm just going to relax. I'm going to go do my nails. I'm going to go for a pedicure. I'm going to go for a massage. Celebrate your wins. You understand? Then stick to a proposed timeline or plan. So you should always have a proposed timeline daily or a plan daily as to how you are going to achieve the different things you want to achieve. Include your work there, because obviously if you are going to work or if you have children, include them within your schedule because they exist, right? And stick to it. However, if you cannot stick to it, you ask yourself what happened. Don't just stay down. I've seen lots of people that when something happens to them as per their schedule, they stay down. They just stay down. They feel so bad and all that. Get back up again. You understand? And ask yourself, how can I improve this? You understand? How can I improve this? You understand? Oh, I planned on, there was this week, I think I planned on reading 3 chapters of the book that I was reading this year. And I couldn't read the 3 chapters. I realized that every time I got back, there was always an emergency. Someone else was putting a task on me that, saying I need this done and I need it done like yesterday. You understand? And, I sat down and I had to ask myself, oh, thank you, Ruth. I had to ask myself that, how can I prevent this from happening again? You understand? Because, there's this quote that says it's only a foolish person, and this is me paraphrasing it. I can't remember how it says it exactly. It's only a foolish person that does the same thing the same way and expects a different result. So you are someone that every week you'll be saying, I'll read 5 chapters of a book. Then at the end of the week, you realize that you only read one or you didn't even read the book. How can this be better? Maybe that time that I put the book reading time, maybe it's not the convenient time. You should be able to sit down and just move things around and get back up again. So this is you not just getting back up to the same routine. This is you getting back up better, getting back up by putting in a better strategy. Do you get? And that is it. So next thing is assign priorities to the task. So for me, because I work full-time, and this is based on my season, I work full-time. Sometimes I get back home at 5:30. There are days I get back home at 5, but most of the times 5:30. So before I can finish fixing dinner and I can take a shower, it's 7. So if I have to do anything, by that 7, I'm like, okay, I want to read to my daughter. I read to her, we chat, we do that. 7:30. 7:30, I've picked up a book, or I've picked up what I've planned doing. You understand? And I put things as high priorities that, this is no shaking. This week I must achieve. I must at least read. Even if I don't read up to 1 chapter, I must at least read this book up to 11. You understand? I must at least read every day. It's a high priority for me. I must at least wake up early in the morning and pray to God. It's a high priority for me. A medium priority might be something, it's all based on everyone. A medium priority might be something that, it's not that important right now. A high priority might be, I have an investigation report to submit by Friday. I must do it at work by Tuesday or by Wednesday. I must start reviewing it by that time. Put things, assign priorities to your task daily. Then when I say eat the frog first, it means that thing that that is very hard to do. Like sometimes you've realized that every week you've been missing out on reading or missing out on a particular part of your purpose. You can now decide that first thing in the morning when I wake up, that's what I'm going to do. Do that difficult task first so that you don't procrastinate it or something else happens. Then identify your low-hanging fruit. So within that big purpose that you want to achieve, what's that thing that you are so good at? You understand? For me now, I realized I was so good at scheduling and things like that. The first book I wrote was my productivity journal because it came easy. I sat down in like 5 weeks. I'd finished writing it. I designed it myself. You understand? What's your low-hanging fruit? What's that thing that you can do easily? And I bring that to an end. Any questions? I believe I have been able to keep to time. I'm a person of my word. If I'm told finish at 9:15, it is there. So any questions from anyone? And I hope I have not I tried squeezing everything down to this to as low as this. Not as low, you understand, to be able to get as much out to you guys. But I would say read books. There are some books that are so good. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Amarachi spoke about Atomic Habits. That's also a very good book. I would advise that you read it. It's such a lovely book. I've said 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt is also a good book. And I've spoken about Life Plan. The Free to Focus is a book that tells you how you can put things into several buckets, just like a life plan, you understand? So that's basically it. Any questions? If there are no questions, yes, you have a question. How do you achieve balance when you want to write a book and you have a full-time work that takes your time? I love that question. I particularly love that question because I'm going to bring you back to the point where I said your life is in seasons, right? So I have a full-time work that takes my time. And I have that burning desire to write a book. For that particular season in your life, you might not sleep for the full 8 hours. Let me use 8 hours. Like some people sleep for 8 hours.
You might not sleep for the full 8 hours. I work full time. And when I did the productivity journal and this current book, the devotional for kids, I had to set up a system where on Saturdays, for me, the devotional for kids, then my schedule on Saturdays from 4 a.m. Okay, I wake up at 4, I pray. And by the time it's 6, I was already seated here. This was where, as in I'll sit here and I'll start typing out the stories. Like it was just there that between 6 and 12 is blocked out. I am going nowhere. I will get up. Luckily, my daughter could cook, so she'll sort out both herself. That's my older child. I have an 11-year-old. She'll sort out both herself and her younger sister. I will sit down from 6 to 12 every weekend working on the book. You understand? And there were times that even after that, when it was really hitting my heart, I needed to, push it more. When I wake up at 3, I'll quickly pray, read my Bible. Then by 4, I am seated here again, so that by 6, I am out with my kids. I'm sorting my kids out. And by 6:45, I am out with them. So it's about looking at your time to see, you know what, you might say for this season, for the period of 2 months, when I need to write this book, I might not sleep. Maybe I'm sleeping for 8 hours. I might have to cut it down to 7 hours. You understand? Or I might have to cut it down to 6 hours. Or you know what, on my weekends, I might not be going for parties that much because I need to focus on this. When I was doing my master's, because I was working full time then, I didn't go for parties. It just seemed like that part, that social part, I will call people and I'll say, I'm so sorry, you invited me for this. Some people did not like me because of it. You understand? But you know what? It was a particular season in my life where I had to push for those 2 months, or for that particular, for my master's, it was 2 years, right? For that 2 years, because I knew I had a 4-year-old. She was 3 then anyways. I had a toddler that was taking my time. I had a family to run. I had work that I had to do. I had to cut down on something. And what I had to cut down on was social media and going for parties. I had to cut them down because I wanted to pass. I wanted to do exceedingly well. I just didn't want to make it by and say, you've got a master's degree now. I wanted to actually finish with a distinction, and that's what occurred, you understand? Because I was putting it in there. So balance, don't look at it as balance is everything being in the middle. You understand? Balance is not necessarily that everything has to be in the middle. Balance simply means having the time for the different things at the different times in your life, being able to create that time. And sometimes it might even mean pushing, like some people say there's no balance, right? It might even mean reducing sleep for a particular season of your life. It's not like you're reducing it for a long time, but just for that season. So that it's not like, and that's why sometimes DDK, my mentor, always says that you should plan goals every 90 days, sure you get, so that, right, like now I've just finished writing a book. I took a break, I rested. It wasn't like since December or since January that I actually finished the handwork writing of it. It wasn't like after that I'm like, oh, what next? Oh yeah, let's quickly face this and let me continue my life of waking up. I still wake up at 3, but my life of coming straight to the laptop to type. Let's move on to the next book. No, I took time to rest. I actually took time to revive myself and to recharge myself. You understand? So that was basically it. So for me, I had to reduce sleep. For some other people, it's social media. I reduce social media. So it might be social media. It might even be that, you know what, maybe during my lunch time, I can sit down with my phone. Yes, and that was the thing with me too. When I was writing, it could be during lunch and suddenly a story hits me. I had my notepad on my phone. I'll quickly type it out. So I used up every single time. Like I could be walking to work, walking, and suddenly a story hits me. I don't wait for the particular time I've set aside. So you notice that for you that you do not have that much time and work is taking a lot of your time. Understand that every time is usable. Every single time spot is usable. It could be a time that you're even trying to sleep. I even remember there was a night I was trying to sleep and suddenly the idea hit me. I got up and I started typing. As in I had on my note, if I don't want to come straight to my laptop, on my notepad, I'll quickly type it so that I just don't lose that. And it reduces the amount of time, you understand? It reduces the workload, right? Because you are chipping at it slowly and slowly. You might not have 2 hours to give, but you might have 30 minutes. Give that 30 minutes because sometimes we feel like we need to have 1,000,000 hours in order to achieve things. Like, and I'll give this example about reading. There was a time I felt like I needed 2 hours in order for me to read sufficiently. And no, after a while, I realized that if you have good 30 minutes of reading, if you've done well. Like, even sometimes at work, I have 15 minutes break. I sit down and I read. You get that's the route. You see, I see that. Balance means having the time for the different, yes, exactly, having the time for the different things in your life. Let me also use this. Balance means also that when I have to turn up, I turn up as 100%. I'm turning up here at the Zoe Discovery Hall, 100%. You're not seeing me that I'm turning up. I'm like, oh, you know what, I've actually slept well. This is 3 a.m. my time. Amarachi, I'm trying my best for you. You understand? I've turned up 100%. When my kids wake up, when they need me, I turn up for them 100%. If I'm not there for them 100%, if they're trying to get my attention whilst I'm doing something, like my purpose, and I'm turning up for my purpose 100%, when they're trying to get at me, sometimes I'm like, can you give me 1 hour? Because I will now come to you and attend to you 100%, give you my full attention and energy at that point. You understand? So yes, don't think you need 100 hours or a massive block when you have a busy time slot. Every single time counts. Like if you have, and I call them time credits, if you have a time credit, like the time you normally get home, maybe it's 9 p.m. and somehow one day you've gotten home at 8, seize that time credit. Yeah, whatever you do, give it 100%. Exactly. Seize that time credits. Use every single time you can find. And that's what I'm going to say. I hope I've been able to answer effectively. If you still have questions here, please do ask and I'll be able to, let me stop sharing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mama Ife. God bless you.
Thank you
so much. I have a question while we wait for other people. Please, if you have a question, kindly type it in the comment section. But I have a question. How do you, like for instance, if you're still trying to figure out what structure or architecture you need to inculcate into your life, like, well, maybe you started something and it's not working. How do you, I feel guilty personally. I've been there many times. I feel guilty that it's not working. This is not working. And then I feel like if I'm changing it, then I'm not consistent or something. I'm not consistent. How do you really balance that? Okay, this is something I'm trying to do, is not working. Like, how do you move past that? Like, is there like a way to actually create a system that works for you, or is it a try and error thing? Like you try, if it works, you note it down, or how exactly do we like get this system that works for you, like, and is working for you? Because sometimes it looks as though every other month or every week I have a new structure, So how do I work this out really?
Love that. Okay, so I love the question. You've asked 2 questions. Sort of, you're like, how do you, and it's all in relation to structure, right? It's all in relation to structure, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So basically, if a particular structure is not working, how do you move from that structure to something else?
Yes.
Perfect. And how is it that consistently, that you don't want to, it seems like you're moving structures every month, right?
Yes.
Now I get that. So let's look at it this way. Basically, you are learning how to walk. So you are moving so in building structures, you are moving like a baby who has crawled in a particular, you are crawling now, you want to get up and walk. So there are times that you will fall. You understand? If you watch a baby that is learning how to walk, they get up several times, fall several times. You have to pick up yourself and get up again. Now, the reason why the structure might change every month is maybe your seasons are changing monthly. You understand? So for me now, I'm in that particular season. Okay, my structure for the past 2 weeks changed because I was working on a project with someone. You understand? I committed to working on a project with someone. So my structure for the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not just 2 weeks, 3 weeks changed because I had to be waking up at 1 a.m., 1:30. You understand? In order to get ready, get things out, send emails out and things like that. So my structure for that 3-week period changed. You understand? I had to develop a structure for just that three week system, for just that 3-week period. And afterwards, now I'm on a 1-week break where I'm like, you know what, Ife, right now it's a rest time because you've worked on a project for 3 weeks and you stretched yourself. So here is my structure for this week. I don't let it deter me, you understand? And then after that, I go back to my previous structure. So I have structures. Let me explain this to you. I have structures for weekdays and I have structures for weekends. And I think that's one thing I didn't make clear. So weekdays are my busy days, you understand, where I go to work and all that. So I have a structure. What I've built into that is, you know what, I have one goal, one thing to achieve that day. I don't put like 4 or 5 goals. I don't overload myself. One goal. And now, if I've achieved that goal, I give myself a pat on the back. I'm like, okay, I have credits, time credits. What do I want to do with this extra time? Do I want to go to bed? Do I want to do this? No, I want to do this extra thing because most of the time when I'm setting goals, I give myself super goals. Now, you are looking at it as not working, but with the way I see it is you are finding, what's that way? You are finding a better way to work. So times that things seem not to work, it's not like you failed in that particular structure. You've just learned a way not to work. And if you sit down and you ask yourself deeply, why didn't this structure work? Is it because something occurs to interrupt? As in, you need to drill down to the why, the reason, so that you're not treating malaria with Panadol. Do you get? What's the reason why this structure failed? Am I in a new season? You understand? If I wanted to use my usual structure, yes, you've been overloading yourself. Yes, because sometimes we actually overload ourselves. When I work full time, like I'm working from 8, I leave my house at 6:45, you understand? And I get back home at 5:30 sometimes, or sometimes at 6. I don't give myself, because I have to be asleep by 9. I fall asleep by 9. I don't give myself like 10 things that I need to achieve on that particular day. I just tell myself, what's the one thing? And I split, I have every single day one thing that I need to achieve so that I'm not overloading myself, because sometimes your structure fails because you've overloaded yourself. Number 2, your structures could fail when consistently people are interrupting from outside, but you need to be able to drill down to why it failed at that time. You understand? And when you can get the why, you'll be able to treat it effectively. I've given the example of when my mom used to call during my personal growth time, you understand? And I had to treat that effectively. Now, does she call at that time? No. And sometimes she calls, I can just say, you know what? I ask myself the question, I've actually spoken to her at this particular time. I will give her a call back. Then I set my reminder that during lunch tomorrow, I'll give her a call back and say, oh, sorry, I saw your missed call, mommy. How far was going on? So it's only if I now see a call, maybe 2, 3, 4 times, and I'm like, this must be an emergency. Then I pick it up. You understand? So be able to split things. I would rather not overload myself. I'll give myself achievable tasks. You understand? Then if I achieve them and I have credit, then I'm excited. Like, because you are giving yourself that dopamine, that effect of, man, I achieved this thing. I actually set it. I achieved it. Oh, what's my super goal for today? So for each day, I call it a super goal. So I'm like, I want to read 1 chapter of this particular book. But what's my super goal? To start chapter 2 or chapter 3, you understand? So that in the long run, if I don't get to chapter 2 or 3, I'm like, I actually still hit this. Oh, you know what? I said I wanted to read chapter 1, but chapter 1 is like 70 pages. So I could not get to the end. You understand? So you need to be able to sit down and ask yourself those questions during a review, that what happened that made it fail. You understand? And if you find out the main reason why it failed, you fix that reason, because if you don't fix that reason, it will keep reoccurring. So it's almost like you have malaria, you're taking Panadol, you'll still be having the chills. You know, the Panadol will work for a while, you still be having the chills, you still be feeling horrible because you've not used the right thing to fix that structural issue. You understand? And definitely with different seasons in your life, so you can also decide, is it a season? With different seasons in your life, you definitely need different structures. You understand? Definitely need different structures. So you need to be able to identify that. Did I just come into a season? For instance, I know that in November, I'm getting into a season where things will be super busy at work because we have an audit coming up. For some people, it's end of the month at their workplace because they have lots of reporting. So at that time, what structure do you have? And that's why I was giving the example of structure for weekday. You understand? So I only give myself one goal during the week, each day, not the whole week. You understand? Each day I'm like, or maybe once in 2 days, I'll be like, okay, in 2 days, I want to read one chapter of this book because the chapter is very wide. Then next in Saturday, because I'm home all through, then I give myself a rigid structure of 6 to 12 days or 6 to 8. Write out, this is what I want to do. 8 to this, write out, this is what I want to do. When am I eating breakfast? Do I want to take the kids out? You understand? On that weekend, you know, I give myself structured 1, 2, 3, because that day is a free day for me. Then if I've been invited for a birthday party, for instance, I got an invitation for a birthday party yesterday. I put it in my calendar already. Then I put reminder a week before, 2 weeks before, so that I know when to go and buy my present. I know that that weekend, okay, I'm looking at the time, this time is gone. For instance, this coming weekend, Saturday, I've already seen that my 5 to 8 time, 5 to 8 is gone because we have a volunteers thing at church. They've already invited me. They told me since 2 weeks ago, oh, please register. We have a volunteer stuff. So I would not expect the same structure that created this last weekend that I had to work for this coming Saturday. I don't know if I'm clear or if I've made it clear. Amarachi. Let me know if I've answered or if you still have a question, if I've not gone deep enough or explained it well. Oh, thank you. Yep, so that's it. Any other questions? If there are no questions, I guess I can hand over back to you. Zoe, Discovery Hub. Thank you so much.
Yes, Ma, thank you so much. Like, it's been such an insightful session. I know that some of these things, you've said them before in some other meetings that I've had with you, but I heard them in a different way tonight. And this time credit thing just made so much sense to me. Like, I think I've been wasting all my time credits because when I come back from work earlier than normal, I just say, okay, as in, I've had a very busy day. Whoa, let me just go to Instagram and chill. Do you understand? Like, I could have used that time effectively, and I didn't really plan it well. So now I've learned that, okay, not to overstress myself personally, not to overload my schedule, because if my schedule is always funny, it's not funny to me. Talking about funny to other people that may even look at it. Like, I have something like maybe doing work, I have, okay, maybe I can plug in my earpiece and listen to a message, but my work requires me to talk to people at different times. And once I get distracted in listening to a message or something, I just lose the whole ginger. Then I must start feeling bad that listen to the message. Then I'll say I'll read a book in the bus or read a book as I'm coming back home. But we know how traffic can be sometimes. It's just been really like, so I end up beating myself. You didn't do what, you didn't do this. But I just see that I actually been the one shooting myself on the leg and overloading my schedule to putting unrealistic, unachievable things. Not that they are not achievable, but they are not really. Yes. Thank you so much for that. And I'm very sure that every one of us here, we have been impacted by tonight's session and we are very grateful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. Like, see the way, like, as in, I just look at you, see the way you're shining at 3 a.m. It's gold. Well done, Ma. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So please, let's just appreciate Mama Ife in the comment section as she, as we close out on tonight's session, just appreciate Amara, Claire, Christian, Ruth, Michael, everyone. Just say thank you. Thank you so much, Mom. We celebrate you and God bless you so much. Thank you. So every one of us, let's go back into the WhatsApp group and then drop our learning points for tonight. And then I'll be sharing the replay. Hopefully I'll be able to upload it on YouTube tonight, and then we'll share the replay for us to listen again. We need to listen again to these things, very important. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you, everyone. So good night and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.